And welcome to this edition of our program, The Platform. On this program, we are going to talk about community building, and we are speaking with three young men from the Centerville, Bain, Grantstown area here in New Providence, and they are involved in youth development and community building. Our guests on the program today, Shyan Chipman, who has been here before, and we also have with us Omar Thompson, who is the president of UAC, and also Valentino Brown,
yes, sir.
Who is also involved in youth development. Gentlemen, welcome to our program.
Indeed, a pleasure to have us here. Thank you, sir.
Very good, very good. Since I know both Mr. Chipman and Mr. Thompson, let's begin our conversation with Valentino Brown. What is the name of your organization?
Mr. Jones, the name of my organization is Movement for Change.
Okay. And what do you do?
I do a variety of a lot of stuff. Help the less fortunate in our community, whether it's the old person needing assistance with home repair, helping young kids who don't have proper education or don't have no place to go in the community. I try to do my best to find adequate spaces, either the church or the community center, to lend assistance.
How did you start it?
I got started because I was one of those youths that I see today going through a struggle.
You were going through a struggle?
Mr. Jones, I don't even like to tell my story. It's too long a story to even talk about on just one segment of the show. Yes, I had a very tough life as a young man growing up. Very tough. No mother figure, no father figure, just a grandmother figure in my life who did her best. But other than that, the streets grew me up in the Grantstown community.
A priest?
The streets.
Oh, the streets?
Yes,
you grew up
sir.
on the streets?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, you got to tell me how you grew up on the streets. how you grew up on the streets?
Well, not having a father figure. My father was sentenced to life in prison when I was in my mother's womb. And upon that, my mother was on drugs whilst she was impregnated with me. So I was born in the era of the drug era. So I'm more like a drug baby. I think I'm an one child. I think I was just probably a cookie, young person fooling around, didn't plan for their children's future. So that's what I call myself. And my dad and mine coming out of a good Christian home with my grandmother, who did her best to give me proper education, put a roof over my head. What the world could ask for, she gave to me. But besides not having a mother figure who is encouraging you to go to school, who is helping you with your homework, and a father who's walking you to school, talking to you, telling you what's right from wrong, those things was non-existent to me. I never had those stuff. Never had those stuff.
And so you decided that in your adult life that you would work with young people in your community, eh?
Yes, after I gone through a transformation because I got myself involved in gang culture when I was one of the leaders of a particular street gang that resided in the Grantstown. Actually, the third street gang in Nassau, New Providence.
What was that called?
That was called the Border Boys.
The Border Boys?
Yes,
Were
sir.
you the leader of the Border Boys?
One of the leaders of the Border
see.
Boys.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. Well,
Yes,
I know, like you said, it will take a long time to tell the whole story.
Yes, sir.
But Omar Thompson, it's good to see you again.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And you've been involved in a whole lot of wholesome activities for young people, eh?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about it.
Well, as you know, my organization is called United Against Crime, UAC. This was birthed about 10 years ago, coming from more the background with Valentino and Shyan, where we saw that change was needed. where we grew up with a certain lifestyle, and that was good for that time. You know, everything has a season, you know, it was just time for a change, because the youths now today, they have a whole different mentality about violence or about life, you know, and we saw that, you know, I tell you this, Mr. Jones, it was one time that we three guys couldn't sit in the same room, because Shyan was down there in Lifeboy Street, eh? Mm-hmm. Valentino was down there in Hay Street. And I was right there on East Street in Gibbs Corner area. So it was three different set of areas, even though it was one area. So we couldn't sit down and have a talk like how we talking.
Why?
It was just a
Just a rivalry?
Turf.
Yes,
yes.
You know, turf zones,
Yeah.
different zones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that, you know, this one being seen on that side would have been a problem, it being seen in the middle, and it's such a small area. But it always was a rock and bottle issue, or maybe one gun out of 100, you know, or a cutlass situation, whatever, it was simple. But now, I mean, we're here, we could be able to speak about that and say, hey, listen, this what we did was stupid or ignorant or whatever it was at the time. These young guys aren't coming back. Every other day is a murder. You know, and our organization's set up is to show some difference, to make the young persons, that be females and males, understand that, you know, after death, only thing there is to see God. You know, you don't come back to be able to talk to a Valentino or to talk to a Shyan or come sit on your show and be able to speak to things, you know? We created these organizations, and we created these organizations independently. Shyan did it independently, myself and Valentino. We work with different organizations to try and bring change and peace and harmony to youths, even to allow them to understand that, you know, you're going down a perilous way. You know, I went to the Foxhill prison the other day, and it was just, it's overflowing. It's overflowing, you know, and the youth guys are just coming back out like it's just like, it's some type of school where you learn, but you learn in badness to come back out here to infiltrate the rest of the guys. You know, I have like about, give and take, like 100 odd guys, you know, over the 10 years. My organization has invested in maybe 1,000 or more guys, or, you know, some of the guys started at 15 and 13, and some guys on the police force, some on the defense force, some are in prison, some are prison officers, you know, and some out there, you know, making a bunch of difference, you know, but, you know, it's what you put into something what counts, you know. I learn more, and I try to teach the persons who are involved in our organization to give back, you know. Once you learn to give, you know, what you receive sometimes is just life, or even a better understanding or a freedom. I would say this to you, that when we grow up in that era, that drug era, the gang era, whatever I have achieved in the last 10 years for doing right, it hasn't been achieved all my life. So everything else, because I owned a club, I owned boats, bikes and cars, etc., different things, but all those things vanished. But when I saw that, you know, that we understand that God is the answer, yeah, and you sit down and understand that the way to success is to be able to give, to love, to learn, you know, and to teach. I see the things that I obtained, they're still here, I can still touch it, you know, and it was just so fascinating. When I sat down, so many of our friends have died. You know, I don't have much friends left. Most of them died in horrible deaths, you know, being shot down, stabbed, or whatever it is. And a few might have come up, and Mr. Jones still might be around. But they're persons like these guys. Some of the guys we could touch who have opened businesses, yes, who have become like entrepreneurs. But these are the persons who you got around. And my message to youths is to be positive, and let them be able to understand the plight we took. Because I got scars. I get scars from different things. What happened, so is Valentino, so is Shaq. You know, we have scars, but the youths now is like, they want to be able to feel this stuff. It ain't no more, don't touch that iron. They want to touch the iron, and that's females and girls.
Touch the iron?
Yeah.
Yes.
Meaning the gun?
Yeah, you don't want to touch it.
Indeed.
And what happens after that? Either you got life in prison, either you sitting down and getting abused in prison, or you come back on the road and you got, you know, it's my challenge, our challenge here is to groom kids to become different. You know, just to love themselves, to want to make our land, the Bahama land, a greater place, you know, to shoot out there somewhere that makes some difference, you know.
Shyan, you've been here before, and I believe you told your story too. You've been working with young people now for several years, eh?
Indeed. Well, I have had the opportunity to expand a little bit, and specifically, the reason why I work closely with these guys, because we grew up together, yet we were in different zones. So we were defending different zones as we were growing up. And now that we can sit at the same table and discuss things, I work closely with them because we're from the same community, basically.
You were in a gang as well?
I had no other choice.
What was the name of your gang?
The name of my gang, when we were very small, we were called the Chorus.
The Chorus?
Yes.
Border Boys?
Yes, sir.
And you had the gang too?
Well, I would say this to you, really short. I was never specifically in a gang. I was always a facilitator.
Okay, okay.
A facilitator is an intermediate person.
I see. So go ahead.
Yeah, so now instead of using that influence to cause destruction and death, you know, I now use that influence to kind of set the record straight with certain guys, put them on the right path. And, you know, lately what I've been doing, I've been bridging the gap between other community leaders, not only in my community, but in the St. Barnabas area, the Coconut Grove area, and in the Angliston area, because there's a lot of smaller groups, and because I'm so, I'm connected with so many other, not only community-based organizations, but non-government organizations, you know, and based on what it is needed in that zone or in that area, I can bridge the gap because I'm affiliated with, or bringing them together. And one of the projects you were asking about, the back to school, you know, everybody, most of the people that are doing back to school, you know, they do it basically in their zones. These young men here. To piggyback on that, but I take a little twist to that. What I would do is, I would bring in sponsors to purchase uniforms for selected kids. If you do your groundwork, like how we do groundwork, you know your community pretty well, so you know who needs, your single parents who can't afford minimum wage. At the end of the day, 5, 6 kids, you know where there's a need to help a certain kid go to school the first day of school and not the second or third week of school, where their mother's trying to find $50 to purchase a shirt and pants for that kid to go to school. So I kind of bridge that gap with my friends from corporate Bahamas, asking them to sponsor a kid, and they say, I want a girl, I want a boy, you know, and I find that kid and they prepare them for school, and most of them, they stay in these kids' lives.
So all of you have come together now. It's back to school time,
Yes.
and you are facilitating or helping young people to get ready for back to school?
Indeed.
Is that it?
That's where we're at right now.
Okay. And you're helping them with uniforms and books and bags and that sort of thing?
All et cetera.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But beyond that, this level of violence we have to deal with in this country, man.
Yes.
You have to reduce the amount of homicides, the amount of young boys who are being shot and killed. What are you going to do?
Well, to target the problem, we know the problem, we know the root of the problem.
Yeah.
Our best bet as community leaders, what we do is we target the next generation. We cut the lifeline from the gangs, the drug dealers, the street hustlers, and so forth, you know, by targeting the next generation of kids. And if we do that, by the time as they become 13, 14, 15, they're heading in a different path. We're giving them something to hold on to. We're putting them in programs that diverts them, deter them from the street life per se.
Cutting the lifeline from the gangs, meaning what? What does that mean?
The lifeline of the gangs nowadays, remember one time ago,
Taking guns from them?
No, listen, one time ago we said, okay, oh, that's Omar. You don't have to do that. You don't worry about it. I know him, he cool. And you walk away from that. Nowadays, the hierarchy in these gangs are putting guns in 13, 14, and 15-year-olds, and they're just shooting because they don't know any better.
But why don't we find who the leaders of these gangs? You used to be with Border Boys.
Yes, sir.
Border Boys is still in operation?
No, it switched to a different generation.
It's a different generation.
there's
Why
a new
don't we
gang.
find the leaders of these and counsel them and try to get them to be like you, the leaders of these gangs?
Well, basically, I just recently did that, and I've been doing it all my life. Lyndon Pendant was the first one who did it in the country when he got all of us together.
And you were one of those fellows who walked in the PLP convention?
Yes, sir. I was one of those guys who walked in the PLP convention. I was right on the side of Lyndon Pendant.
You were right there talking about
whoop,
whoop,
yes,
whoop.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was right on the side of Lyndon Pendant.
Okay. I told Lyndon he should not have done that.
Yes, yes. I can remember. I can remember, yes. And from then I was always involved.
Okay.
And just recently, one of the gang leaders who run the particular group, the gang that is in our particular area, they call it the Ma. I think I won't call the last name because it's kind of, want to say it. And I talked to him. I said, brother, look, I know where you're coming from. You get children growing up. He said he know where I come from. Me and his father fought. So I had a conversation with him. I said, man, what you could do, I say, you can't be picking trouble in your community. Because if you be picking trouble in your community, then your neighbor ain't gonna be able to help you. So when someone is coming to harm you and see a car driving 3 corners away, because you pick trouble with the person, they're never gonna tell you. And they say, what if your son or daughter is walking in the streets when these guys come looking for you? And then shots is fired and then your child dies square away shot. See, it's one thing to pull the trigger, but what happens when it's one of your loved ones?
Shouldn't you all be involved in finding where these guns are?
But we are.
You are?
That's all of that is community building and community leading. All of that is a part of, our fight. You know what I mean? Not only locating guns, you know what I mean? Allowing guys to turn in what they have. If they even have the place sitting someplace and we send the authorities to it. You know what I mean? That's our goal, you know what I mean? To weed out. We just can't say we're doing community leading and targeting just the kids. We're speaking to the gang members, we're speaking to the drug dealers, the leaders. Now, you can take a horse to the well, but you can't force them to drink.
Okay.
But the job is to continue to be consistent and persistent.
I need to get the 3 of you on a radio program so we can have a long period of time to talk.
You really do.
Yeah. Let's take this break here on our program. We are here with Omar Thompson, Valentino Brown, and Shyan Chipman. We'll come right back.